How's it going, everyone? This is Crops, aka Beast Beats, and today we have a little 300 subscriber special triple feature. That's right, three replays, three different decks, and actually just two different formats. I debated on doing Tengu Plant or something like that for the first time ever, but that'll have to be a different day. This is just going to be the classic GOAT and Edison format video. Uh, it's a total of, well, just one GOAT match and two Edison matches, so a little love to both of those formats. And just again, a big thank you for 300 subs. Again, I'm starting school in just this coming week here, so the uploads will likely slow down quite a bit while I'm back in study mode. But since that hasn't begun yet, we are here. So let's get into it. Also, this is a little deck profile, more formal, for the guy who said present the deck properly, even though the main point of that video was an opening, not a deck profile. And that was just something I decided to throw in as extra. But I mean, he gets what he wants, I guess, right? So I can't remember who that commented that, but 3 megarock, 3 gigantes, 3 rock spirit, 1 monk fighter, 2 master monk, 1 sphinx, 1 grandmark, 1 stein, 1 demok, Trinity, not Trinity, just Pog, Graceful, and the real Trinity piece in this deck, Card D. 1 heavy, 1 snatch, 1 primo, 1 mega M, 2 true nades, 1 swords, 1 brain, 1 mind con, 2 scapegoat, 1 meta. Man, my throat. Get a drink of water. I've been back and forth on this card. I'm not sure still what the right ratio is, if at all, in this particular deck. I do like it with the ability to make 7s by just banishing 1 rock off the mega rock and whatnot. Taking a sip. All right. 3 reasonings, 3 monster gates, 1 monster re-encar, a ring, aka Rod. Let's go, Team Rod. First place, baby. Well, that's to mention old school RuneScape. Shout out to that game. I did a little accomplishment in that game, but that'll be maybe like an April Fool's video or something, so we'll hold off for that. A MF. And in the side, we had some spice. I like the jars are rocks, so, and morphing's also earth, so that'd be funny to try and pull the jars off. Definitely don't think that happened in this particular replay, but one day these jars will go off. Try, because once they go past game 1, they're probably like, oh, I should not call 4. Spell Canceller for like the mirror. Jinzo, because traps. Book usually goes in with like the jars, but you could put it, I don't know what matchup you'd put it in now. Think about it. If you're not putting like jars or something in, maybe like a Thousand Eyes Chaos Control kind of build. Knock for the flips, walk for the burn, MST extra removal for like Necro Valley or silly things like that. Burn again. Vortex for decks that play like Scapegoat or maybe even Mirror kind of situations. TT, Break, Compulse. These are kind of like all for Kaiku. Big problem for the deck. Spell Canceller, Jowgen. Hollow Life Barrier, Burn, Mirror, like other Reasoning Gate builds, OTK kind of decks. And 1 Decree. Could probably bump that up to like 2, honestly, if you wanted. And then, of course, every fusion in GOAT format as a 3 of that is legal. Let's get into the replay. This is probably going to be a longer thing, kind of video. Doesn't matter if it is, because this is for 300 subs, so this is going to be 300 minutes. I'm just kidding. I hope we're not going to go that long. 300 minutes would be insane. So, this is Mega Rock in action. We won the RPS, I believe. Yep. I don't know who Dr. Nova is, but that was our opponent. Shout out to Snowman Eater, Breaker Sleeves. So we get to start. That's an amazing 6th card, because what that lets us do, set pass, don't even gotta think about that. Easy. Easy play. I mean, we got double monster gate reasoning. We can go off, but I'm going to wait till we get our battle phase. You know, his hand isn't the best. It's well, has pot in it, right? So let's see what pot gets him. I think it gets him. Oh no, okay. Thinking of a different game. He gets DD Assailant, Sook. He also has MST, Scapegoat, Jinzo, Smashing Dust. So, you know, definitely have seen better hands, but I don't even know what he's necessarily playing. I guess some kind of variant of goat control with like probably little warriors thrown in and a tech smashing ground. Main deck dust, maybe kind of an old school list, but you know, still can work. Still cool to see. So off the pot, agreed. He decides, all right, still in his draw phase, by the way. He fires off MST. If he was going to MST, he should have did that before potting. Yeah, almost certainly. In case of like, well, I don't know. It's really risky to solemn pot as the first out of 6 cards, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like you play MST first if you're going to MST at all. You could have even just not MST'd and like set the dust, just like summon DD Assailant, which he does here. And then he sets, or no, he killed token, then set goat and set dust. Okay. So his back row isn't, I mean, Scapegoat's kind of real, but, you know, dust can technically stop Prima or swords. But I start with the reasoning. And like, what do they call? 4. So I get a monster no matter what, which is really cool. Only mill 1, but at least we milled a rock. You know, and then we get our monk fighter. No master monk in hand. I mean, it would get banished straight up to the DD Assailant, but it is what it is. So then we monster good to go because it's free real estate. And I think we get Stein right here. After dumping a good handful of rocks in there. More than a handful. Yeah, we get Stein. And I'm like, let's go Ryu Senshi. And I honestly think about making, oh no, different game. I think it was the game after this. I monstergate the Stein away, and I probably honestly should have monstergated another goat because I contribute the Stein for Sphinx. So definitely could have done that a little different. So the only things left in deck were Grand Marg or D-Mock. So it was like kind of 50-50 on which one of those two. And obviously D-Mock would have been really good to hit. But Grand Marg is still going to trade with the DD Assailant, so that's not too bad. Allowing us to keep our Ryu Senshi for protection. We take the 1-for-1 there, we smack him. We try to smack for 13, probably should have hit. It's probably fine to hit with Monk Fighter first here. He just scapegoats right away anyway. So we kill 2 goats. We fire off the swords. And I'm like, well, it's probably going to get knocked, but I tribute Fighter for Sphinx. Which again, I should have definitely kept Stein, because then we could have potentially killed 3 of the goats. Attacking with the Stein. You know, we'd have Grand Marg, Stein, Monk Fighter, Ryu Senshi. We could have kept Monk Fighter in play and just tributed, because you don't take battle damage from Monk Fighter. In case I think, I did mill both Master Monks, but still had Reincarnation left in deck, and D-Mock, of course. So yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like that was the best play. We do have the swords, which I believe is going to get dusted. But yeah, he smashes the Ryu Senshi, which doesn't target, so that can be done. And then that's 1 turn on swords. He decides, well, yeah, it's 1200 defense, yeah, so. And he doesn't know what this is, but we tribute set it. So we're about to, we draw Mindcom, which currently doesn't do anything. I'm like, all right, let's just see what his back row is here. And the Sphinx goes through. I decide not to Prima. I mean, the only things to Prima back would be Stein, which we can't pay for again, or Monk Fighter. And I'm like, really don't want to pay to bring back a 1300 right now. So I just smack with the Sphinx, set it back down. He didn't knock it last turn, so unless he top decks it here, which he does draw Rhoda to get level 2. And I'm like, okay, I guess he has an answer to swords, and he goes dust, and then he kills the Sphinx, sets a second goat, And then I draw Rock Spirit, which is pretty nice. I'm like, I'm going to drop it, see if it's okay. And it is. I could have pre-med Sphinx, which isn't the worst play, but I'm like, let's just play, don't want to play any TT or Mirror Force necessarily. Let's just see if the Rock Spirit connects, and it does. And again, not wanting to play into Torrential or anything. This goes to two. I mean, he ends up dropping Sook, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, puts it down, and that clears it. Funny enough, if this was like Soul of Purity and Light instead, where it was, monsters your opponent controls lose 300 attack during the battle phase, then it actually would be able to survive Tsukiyomi, because it would go up, and then, at least I'm pretty sure, it'd flip up and then decrease their attack. I don't know if it'd be marked for destruction yet, or if the Sook would go down to 800, and then they would take 200 damage, but I don't know. Anyway, that's not how Rock Spirit works, but I saw it in Scully was saying versus JDZ on the Goat Gresham series. Shout out to that on the goatformat.com YouTube. We draw Meta, which is a pretty solid card, and I'm like, you know what? I want to keep the pressure going. I know they have Tsukiyomi. Let's bring back Sphinx. Let's try to hit in. They take the 17. I put it back, or I set it itself with its own effect, like that Pac-Man monster. I could meta for like Bolter or Skull, Fiend Skull, or even Reaper on the Nightmare or something crazy. He doesn't have any lights or darks right now, thankfully. He top decks this BLS, and he only has darks in his hand. He decides to bust out the Breaker, kill a goat, and pass. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is. Okay, so actually, dang, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's an early concession here. So I draw Reasoning. I have 3 cards in deck, by the way. I wasn't even paying attention to that. So I know the last monster in my deck that can be Monster Gate or Reasoning out is Demok. And I believe, yeah, I'm out of Monster Gates. And this is, oh man, yeah, this is my last Reasoning. I'm like, okay, he called 4, but I'm thinking if I use this, he almost certainly has to know to call 8 at this point. And, I don't know, maybe he would think, and not if he called anything but 8, or I get Demok. But I'm trying to check real quick. Yeah, all 3 Mega Rocks, all 3 Rock Spirits, all 3 Gigantes, just like for non-Reasoning Monster Gate, non-normal summonable monsters left in deck. I don't think there's any. The last cards in the deck, actually, I'm pretty sure are Demok, Monster Reincarnation, and I'm not going to bore you guys by thinking of the 40th card, but you can probably piece it together from the deck profile at the beginning. But yeah, so Monster Incarnation isn't too bad. I can actually pitch the Reasoning for Monster Incarnation and bring back megarock and just mega smack right after banishing like the entire grave. So, and I do have the Sphinx right now to back up as long as it doesn't top deck that knock. And what I decided to do, I'm like, alright, I don't want to Sphinx back the Breaker to his hand necessarily. So I'm like, let's Mind Con, let's see what this back row is. Ends up being Scapegoat. And so I flip, and if I meta this, I can do 2,000 damage total. But this can't be attributed, so I can't meta this. If I could meta this, then I'd have, Carbonala Warrior plus Sphinx. But we can't. And Thousand Eyes doesn't do anything. Currently, next turn I could technically set something up maybe with that, but he just says GG. I guess he thinks Breaker can attack, so he concedes early. But if he drew another dead card, like a Chaos Orc, which he isn't necessarily playing, but just one more dead draw on their side, I think it should be the end of the game, because that's 17 times 2 is 34, and they're at 31, so that was pretty close. And we end up going to game 2. So we took game 1, again, technically an early concession from the opponent. It's a Mind Con, not Brain Con. Oh, that was the last card in the deck. It was a Brain Con, Monster Incarnation, and a Demok. Those are the last 3 cards in the deck. So, on to game 2. Our open hand, again, pretty decent. I mean, we got Reasoning, we got Monster Gate. If they miss the Reasoning, we're in a decent spot. As long as we get any kind of Earth in the way, we feel our Rock Spirit. We got the Masterwork, and we decided on a Compulse, because I saw Scapegoats and things. Tsukiyomi, I'm thinking Thousand Eyes Restrict. I'm thinking some kind of goat control variant deck on the opponent's side. I didn't see that Jinzo or anything, but here's their knock. They kept it in, I'm guessing because of the Guardian Sphinx. I believe I sided out. Yes, I did side out the Guardian Sphinx for this one. I don't think it's as good against Thousand Eyes. And sometimes your opponent keeps in knock if you Sphinx them like 2 or 3 times, like, in that game. So it's dangerous to keep it in, so I just take it out. And I put in, like, I think Jinzo and Tribe or something. So definitely didn't put the flips in. Maybe if there is a spoiler, maybe game 3, but that will be time to tell, right? They got the Rhoda, they got the Ra, Nock, Sook. They got the Sook Nock combo, Serp, and again with the Pot of Greed, drawing into Regeki Break and Scapegoat. So their hand's, fairly defensive, but I guess it could be. These cards definitely could be used like offensively as well. So they go Rhoda for level 2. You see, okay, straight up they search level 2, and I'm thinking there is nothing in my deck that I'm planning to set face down. I can't even summon any of this face down. So again, they got the Sook level 2, I guess, but that's 2 normal summons. So Sook Nock is more of a combo, not necessarily Sook level 2 unless they like Prima or call it back later or something. And they set Scapegoat and pass. And I was like, all right, well, let's see. I draw a megarock, not bad. I just fire off the reasoning. We got a battle phase, might as well. Okay, yeah, so there's the Demock. So now it's on the top of the deck instead of the bottom, which is obviously nice when the opponent doesn't call 8. It's funny they call it 3. Like, there's been times where I've had injection fairly in the deck, but in this game, the only 3 was the Monk Fighter, which definitely was still in the deck, because if I took out Monk Fighter, I almost certainly am taking out Master Monks. So it's probably Master Monks to leave first, and then the Monk Fighter. But yeah, we reasoning, they call wrong, and I'm like, well, I don't necessarily want Scapegoat. Like, obviously it goes well with Monster Gate, but I just go reasoning again. Like, we can kind of turn on the Jets. So I decided to turn on the Jets. They call 4. I did put Tribe in, so I'm thinking, man, they might get the 1 out of 5 or whatever chance at this point. It's either 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 chance they hit it right here, and thankfully, we mill some earth rock monsters. A good, what was that, 4 of them? Yep. And we get Stein again. Demock and Stein, the best rock monster. No, obviously, Machine and Spellcaster Darks, respectively. But we get Stein, and okay, I think for a minute here. See do I do the thinking emoji? I might. Okay, I don't think I do. I can't remember if I did or not, but I will say, I honestly thought that I was thinking, this is probably, I don't know why, but I was like, this is probably Scapegoat. And it is. There's no way for me to really know that. I could guess that's the first set because, heavy, True Nate, MST kind of cards, chain it, and then hope to be protected from an OTK, which this deck can definitely do. So I'm thinking, okay, I may go Jama King here in defense, lock up 3 zones. I'm pretty sure you can't chain Scapegoat once a Jama King hits the field. Again, I'm sure Gregory Ford or something can comment that. If I summon a Jama King off sign, I don't think they can use goats anymore at that point. If they cannot, that would have been a good play here, and it's something I considered. But I was like, but if it is Torrential, Mirror, Ring, Regeki Break, all these cards that they actually, they have a couple in their hand, I'm like, Ryu Senshi is just the move. King Dragoon would be immune to both of these, but Ryu Senshi would stop it from hitting like Demock, and I'm at 3,000 life points. So I end up going with the safe play, Ryu Senshi. Ends up working out. But, when you get low on life and the opponent's high on life, you don't want them to take your Stein, so we monster get that away. Boop, 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 and here comes some more Rock Earths. Boom, boom, fill up that grave, and the Jinzo. So that's another thing, if I had gone to Jama King, we got a Jinzo now, so I don't have to worry about traps. If this was Spell Canceller, that would be the end of the game. Yes, that would be the end of the game. Ryu Senshi, Spell Canceller, Demock, Rock Spirit, Megarock. Yeah. That would have definitely been the end right now. But then we'd have no other gameplay, and that would just be a 2-0. So I do drop the Rock Spirit because I have the Ryu Senshi that I can use twice. And I'm like, well, let's make a big board here. It does suck somewhat to get the Jinzo just because it turns off my compulse, which I'm not a huge fan of. But I'm like, let's just throw everything out. I hit him with the 28 first, so opposite of Gore's order, right? This isn't Edison. This is Goat, so we hit biggest to smallest. And he wants a goat to live, so now he goats. So by hitting with this first, we force him to take 28 if he wants one goat to live, which is what ends up happening. Knew I should have went on Drama King. The opponent has no comment on that. Maybe they know something I don't. Anyway, they top deck Prima. Okay, Prima level 2, Suk. I was like, man, it's all coming together, right? Anyway, so they end up Suk Jinzo, because they got Ring and Break. And Suk Knock. Like, okay. I'm guessing a meta is about to, take my Demot, kill my Ryu Senshi, and I'm going to be in a pretty bad spot. Right? I mean, at least I will have the Compulse to follow up on the next turn. But I'm thinking this might get a little tough. But then they set 2 and they pass. And I'm like, okay, well, Ryu Senshi can negate both these if it's any kind of sweepers or crazy, normal trap cards. And they don't have any monsters in grave. So I'm thinking, well, they probably have another scapegoat. And I rip heavy, and I'm like, okay, probably a scapegoat, so there's almost not even a reason for me to rip this heavy. And I think about not using it, and it might have been correct not to. But then I'm also like, if it's like mere 4 Sakuratsu or that kind of stuff, I'll save, 2,000 life points here. So I'm like, let's just, rip it and see what happens. And they target Demok with Ring, and I'm like, no. They click it again. I'm like, this guy has an effect. They go Chain, Regeki Break, target that guy. I'm like, okay, use the effect again. Ryu Senshi, so a double Ryu Senshi effect. It's not a once per turn quick effect. So that's really something you don't see every day. You don't see this, used twice in a row like that in a chain. So that's kind of cool, right? It's like heavy chain link 1, Ring chain link 2, Ryu chain link 3, Regeki Break chain link 4, Ryu chain link 5. That's pretty high chain link and go chain link 5. I mean, obviously, if you have like heavy against burn with like 4 sets, you could have like just desserts, barrel, trio kind of stuff. But outside of a burn deck scenario, and now we end up winning the game because we start banishing all these rocks. They scoop. They know the mega rock's coming. And that was at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 3,500 mega rock that we're able to drop down, hit with rock spirit, and then that's 2,028, 3,500. So if they had Kuribo, they survive because they could Kuribo the mega rock, and then they only take 4,800. They'd be at 400. They want the Prima would be dead. They have Suit level 2. I would be able to set Compulse, and then they'd have one more draw. I don't think they check what it is. Nope. Okay, so who knows? Tribe was our next draw on our end, and there's that brain control I was talking about. Oh yeah, I guess I draw the rest of my deck out since there wasn't that many cards left in deck. So let's replay one. Yeah, this is going to be longer, isn't it? Okay, yeah. The next match is going to be versus Kyle Bowling. That was a little... Wow, we're not logged out yet, though. Hold up. Next deck. All right, match number 2. What's the second? Again, 3 matches, 3 different decks. Deck number 2, Aliens. We got to bust it out. We're going to Edison, one of my favorite Edison decks of all time. We got the Ammonite number 4. Honestly, considering playing that, probably shouldn't spoil my plan, but what's this thing's name? Oshaleon, whatever it is. Considering playing this is like a 5th Ammonite, we need that alien ammo. You need that ammo. All right, enough talk. I mean, I already profiled. This was like the last upload on the channel, pretty much card for card, I believe. Well, okay, trying out. I know there was a book. I believe in that one. Trying out Zombie World. Keep it on the hush hush. I know it can turn off offering, but other than that, I mean, we throw this in, we're turning off Ryza, we're turning off Caius, we're turning, all that annoying stuff. So it could balance it with Golgar. I think it's got some playability. So another field spell, different than Ancient Forest. We got our Ancient Fairy, which you can make with Gale and any four, so we can search it. Now, I don't know. I'm just going off now, but I think Zombie World's got some cool possibility. I don't believe I was citing it in this match. I think I was still in the Book of Moon for this match right here against Kyle Bowling. So I've had Kyle Bowling on the channel before versus good old Ryan Spicer. They're good friends. And I don't know if I mentioned, but I met Ryan Spicer and Kyle Bowling in person up in Dallas during the GOAT Grand Prix Fort Worth. So that was really nice. Awesome, awesome gentlemen. So this is not GOAT though. This is an Edison match, as I already mentioned. So our hand is, a bit of monsters, but we got the Shock Trooper Sangan, T-King, Telly, Virus, awesome card right there in the Ancient Forest. Our opponent is clearly on some kind of Frog Monarch strategy. We see Sub, Caius, Dupe, Mirror, Brain Control. Pretty strong hand. Caius Brain, always, disgusting. And I will mention, I think Frog Monarch is probably one of the hardest matchups for this deck, Alien here at times, which is why I think Zombie World, maybe even trying to put in like pulling the rugs or something, would be a good idea. I know we have the triple Phoenix Chain, Iron Wall to stop like Caius, and if they're on Hero to stop Miracle Fusion kind of stuff. But Iron Wall does not stop the Ryzas, which they're usually on 2 or 3 of, and I don't know. There's a lot of factors, and in Kyle's deck specifically, you'll see there's more than just Frog and Monarchs. I'll tell you that right now. So we start off by setting Sangan passing. I don't really feel. I figure they might think it's Raikou. They might just attack straight into it with like a Stratos or hopefully not a Fire Dog, but some kind of hopefully not T-King would be probably even worse. But yeah, we just hope that they hit over it with like Card Trooper. I don't know, one of their worst monsters kind of situation. Drawing a Dust Shoe, which unfortunately is going to be usable with this hand. So they go Sub. Yeah, I guess probably better than just setting Dupe. I don't know, they want to turn on their Treeborn. Fair enough. Kyle is kind of newer, I believe, to playing Edison, at least as of recent. I believe he may have probably played back in the actual Edison format, but I believe he is newer to playing Edison again in recent time. So let's see. So he sets the Dust Shoot, bounces the swap, doesn't even attack, which definitely would have got our Ammonite online right away. So smart for him not to do that. We're drawing Mirror Force, decent card, but we get Dust Shooted and going to need to read a few of these guys. Yeah, so understandable. He sends back Thunder King, which, I mean, I don't know. It's probably the best card in our hand, technically. He didn't realize we shuffled our deck, which is okay. So then we activate Ancient Forest just to get our Sangan up, because I'm thinking, he's got Treeborn. I don't want my Sangan to get Caius, which is what would have happened if I just, like set back row or just passed that our Sangan would have got banished, would have taken 1,000. So I'm like, no. I'm going to summon this just to put in their body on the field, and I'm going to set the Virus. I figure there's a Monarch that's probably going to come down. So I go M2, which Ancient Forest will kill our Sangan, which is actually nice. Get ourselves our Ammonite. Load up, get the ammo, reload. All right, we set the Virus, and we pass. We don't attack a Shock Trooper because it'd be destroyed by the Ancient Forest. He goes Standby Treeborn, and there's a Miracle Fusion. So now Hero, Frog, Monarch. But that's not all. But we'll wait till we see it. So he brain cons our Shock Trooper, and I'm like, all right, well, here's the Virus, right? It's like he contributed it for Caius, just banish Ancient Forest, or even, straight up banish the Virus. So we're just going to use it now then, because at least that means he'll have to like discard a water in hand and to utilize Kaya or a Monarch this turn with the Swap Frog. So he ends up just setting dupe, and that is turn 1 out of 3 on the virus. Yeah, which I mentioned there. And now I can go Ammonite, and I don't. And the reason I don't, okay, so number one, I'm thinking this is a dupe or a 2K defender, which well, no, I mean, I could have activated, bounced Ancient Forest, and then used it again after Golgaring, but then if Golgar attacks, Golgar will perish to the Ancient Forest. Of course, we could bounce Ancient Forest, attack with Golgar, but I figure there's a good chance this is something like a dupe frog. It could be another Treeborn, but I'm like, if this is dupe and I attack it with Golgar, he gets to search another Swap Frog, and then next turn he can go for a Monarch. And so I figure that's not the best situation. I only have one Golgar currently loaded up. If I bring it out, it just immediately gets annihilated from the board. So we don't do that. So we pass. He draws an evil hero, or evil guy, which, evil guy Caius is another pretty strong play. But he just brings out Treeborn, which makes sense. And then what does Treeborn turn into? This big shadow ball throwing Monarch, which, you got to figure that that's what's going to happen because that's what the deck does. So I do have this Gravity Bind, which ends up being nice to insulate some damage because he targets the Ancient Forest because, if he attacks with Caius, Caius is destroyed by Ancient Forest, which is nice. Prevents him from bouncing it back with Swap and reusing it later. And I know he has Swap Frog. So this is turn 2 out of 3 currently on the virus, so he does get an 8 counter on Caius, which is nice. There was technically 1 on the Treeborn as well, but it was immediately attributed off for the Caius. I decided Gravity Bind, which, saves me 24, and I'm planning to Golgar next turn, so I have no problem flipping up the Gravity Bind. I draw a Judgment, which is a really good draw, in this case. I fire off the Ammonite, bring out Shock Trooper, go Gadget, Golgar. You already know what it is. This is the house right here. This is the fortress. This is what you want to see. Usually can mean GG. Not in this case. We don't have, like Iron Wall and our Floodgates. Just the G-Bind, right? Our Ancient Forest got banished. We are able to put another counter on the Caius. So I remove the 2 counters from the Caius to pop what I believe is likely a dupe frog. It could be Treeborn, but I figure I'm about to kill the Caius by battle, so remove the 2 counters. It is dupe. They get to search Swap Frog. And then we attack over the Caius, which I guess they forgot to remove 2, but it's whatever. They take 200, and I set everything. I'm like, please no storm. Currently there's no storm. This is also really bad for us. So then Murray agreed. And I'm like, yeah. If I had judgmented that and played slow and like popped the mirror before attacking, we actually might not have been in the worst spot. But judgmenting Murray agreed is kind of risky. I don't know. It's almost like judgmenting Pot agreed, right? So, interestingly enough, they did not bring back Treeborn. I know they have Evil Guy, but interesting. So they get Ryza, Break, Heavy. That is just very strong, and they throw that Heavy down. I'm like, all right, pay 4K it is, right? I want to protect the G-Bind, and I got Mirror Force, so I don't know. It's rough to just throw those away, right? So then they throw Evil Guy down. I'm like, huh. So there are heroes. And they tribute for Ryza and target Golgar, and there she goes. Right? I mean, that's what's going to happen against Monarchs. Better to be put back in the action than banished, but still rough. If I had Iron Wall, obviously Caius would be. I'd rather have him have Caius than Ryza in those situations. I'd rather have Fiendish Chain in pretty much every situation against because it hits either Monarch. But it does get an A counter, and we still have our Gravity Bind, so of course we're going to activate that. I believe that was turn 3 out of 3 on the virus, if I'm not mistaken. And I draw Shock Trooper, and my set is Mirror Force. I could have Mirror Forced the Ryza, which may have been correct, but I know they put 2 swaps back, so maybe I'm also hoping they don't have, well, could have 1 of 3 swaps, or 1 for 1, 2 subs, 3 swaps. Yeah, that's a lot of possibility to bounce this Ryza back, so little risky, not mirror forcing, but then at the same time, if they rise it back the gravity bind, then we can mirror force. If they rise it back the mirror force, they aren't attacking with anything to hopefully immediately kill us under gravity bind. That's not the best draw. Definitely would have been better to get a second Ammonite, but that's 2 out of 31 chance. So I decided to summon the Shock Trooper. You know, can kind of bluff like the virus, whatnot, even though the virus does not currently kill the Ryza. They draw their second Treeborn Frog. I believe they just bring back Treeborn, set, break, and pass, I think is what they do. Makes sense. I draw Call, which is a pretty strong draw. So I Telepath, remove the counter from Ryza, pop, ends up being break, and they pop G-bind. They do know about this. They know 100% there's Mirror Force, if they remember from the dust sheet. But anyway, yeah, they just don't know what this is, which they used heavy, so I'm going to set it. If they main deck Mobius, that's tough. Yeah, it's really tough. Oh, I mean, I guess I do get Sangan and get Ammonite at the very worst if I do have main deck Mobius. But they draw Salvage, which can get back dupe and sub, I guess. But they just go attack, and I'm pretty sure I Mirror Force. Oh no, I just let it go. I'm holding the Mirror Force. Little greedy, but I guess it's kind of understandable that I want to hold this. Like, there's not... oh man, again, like, they can main phase 2, swap, bounce back, rise at a hand, and then I'm in a tricky spot. They don't do that, thankfully, but they could have. So we draw another Shock Trooper, and at this point I'm like, okay, let's start to do a little cool thing where we, you know, call back ammo, make the Golgar, and the Golgar can bounce back the call. And I put it on the Shock Trooper because now I'm going to wipe their board clean. And I'd rather have the counter be on Shock Trooper than Golgar, since Golgar is the big threat they would obviously first deal with. Then we can set the call again and pass. And they draw another miracle. And sadly, these miracles are live. At least one Ab-Zero at a time currently, since there's just one hero. And they do fire it. And I do not have, you know, any form of negation. And that's a 3k Ab-Zero. You know, this Mirror Force, but they know, well, they actually should know this is called Mirror. And, you know, I think about it, I'm like, I could like call back Sangan, but I'm like, oh, this isn't good because that's a 3k Ab-Zero. So we Mirror Force, get our board wiped. When this card, man, you know, Miracle Ab-Zero, it's just such a house in Edison. It's so hard to deal with that. They set Mirror Force, and I don't know. I just throw an Alien Warrior down, and luckily they can't Treeborn. But they go with the second Miracle, bringing out another Ab-Zero, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You know, what am I supposed to do to that? So they attack over the Warrior. It's gonna put 2 counters on the Ab-Zero. We take, what was that, 700? Yeah, because they don't have another water in play. We draw another Warrior, and I think for a minute here, because I don't know what this is, but I figure it wouldn't be that bad if we called back Ammonite, summoned Warrior, made another Golgar. Golgar bounced back the call, remove 2 from Ab-Zero to pop their back row, attack over with Golgar. But in my head, I'm thinking, okay, if this is similar to like Rognak, shout out to my teammate and Cam's list, it's mostly discard traps. Multiple Reiki Break, multiple Wind Blast. So if this is a discard trap right here, this call isn't really going to do much. unless they randomly do it, but they know this is called a haunted, so they're not going to, because I could chain, bring back Sangan, search Ammonite. So I'm thinking, okay, if I bring back Ammonite, summon this warrior, go into another Golgar, it's probably what I should have done, and just hoped it's not a discard trap, which it's not. It's the one of, Mirror Force. But I end up going Golgar, and that's not the best play, because I can't Golgar bounce this back, or else Golgar, I can remove 2, pop that, and then bring it back, but I'm at 25, so 1 ab0 hit, connecting kills. So I pop the mirror, attack over, but I lose my call. And I pass because, well, if they have the 3rd miracle, I'm dead. But I'm like, if they have a monarch, which they do, I'm basically dead if I summon or set this warrior. So I do just pass. But I could have used this warrior with Ammonite, made another Golgar, and then at least be able to set call again to bring back one of the 2 Golgars on the next turn and kind of play from there. So I think now I'm looking back, that might have been a misplay. But if it was a discard trap, I think we likely would have lost anyway. Surprised I didn't act. If it was a discard trap, shoot, they probably would have used that salvage, got back Dupe and Treeborn, and then I would have pretty much definitely been able to read it as a discard trap, being able to discard the Treeborn back to the grave, really putting us in a bad spot. So we get back Treeborn, we draw Road, which now that both ab0s are gone and Heavy's gone, it's pretty much like completely useless. Perfect, right? I'm like, okay, I still can't commit anything because I lose to a Monarch just about instantly. So I just pass. They draw a swap, someone swaps, and one of the subs hit me for a K. They earlier, as you can see, drew into an Econ. They have Ryza. This is just out of my control pretty much at this point. Prohibition. I don't think I know they have Ryza. Oh man, what do I end up prohibitioning here? It's either Ryza or, oh no, you know what? It's Treeborn Frog. Because that stops Ryza and Caius, which only one of each have been used, and 2 miracles. So I prohibition Treeborn. Even though Heavy's gone, we set the road, and we pass. And they draw Diva. So there it is. You get to see everything right here. Hero, Frog, Monarch, Diva. Diva, Frog, Hero, Monarchs, whatever you want to call it. And it's a disgusting deck. There's a lot of power in this deck. And they go Diva. And I'm like, yep. Now, they could have, they don't know what this is, I guess. Okay, no, yeah, Diva is correct. So they could have pitched Diva for swap and then summoned Ryza. But actually, they could have went salvage, bring back 2, pitch 1 for swap, tribute swap for Ryza. Ryza top deck, back row they don't know. If I don't chain it, Econ, tribute Ryza, take warrior, attack for 18, I'm dead. But they end up going Diva into Mermaid Archer, make a Taster, attack, which I have no response to. Then we draw the Virus, which, if that was replacement of Road, we would have been able to, wouldn't have mattered, I don't think, but, popped the Archer and the Diva. But they end up attacking us for game. So that is that. Miracle too strong. Yes, 0 is a beast. Yeah, that's very true. It sure is a beast. It's a house in the format. Aren't too many ways to, once it's on the field, make it go away without regecking your board. Book, Caius, Book, Grammel, or just Grammel, no other monster on your field. Like, there's ways to out it, but They're kind of, far and in between. I mean, you have Herald if you're playing fairies, I guess. Starlight Road is technically an answer if it's not during the battle. If it's not during, like, damage step, if you attack or you attack over it, you can't road then. But if you can, like, bottomless, have 2 or more monsters in your field, then you can Starlight Road it. Anyway, game 2, they have Rise at MST, Dupe, Sub, Burial. This freaking Burial. I sided in my 1 Kaiku, try and banish those Treeborns. Got our Prohibition, one of our Chains, Shock Trooper, Warrior, Dust. I sided in Dust, I guess, because I knew I was going first to try and hit one of the discard traps. I don't know if that's correct or not. Siding in Dust against Frog. Doesn't seem right now that I think about it. I think it ends up being okay, but end up setting Warrior, setting Dust. Almost a bluff at that point. They draw in a double dupe, which is unfortunate. But they go sub into swap, get the Treeborn online, and then return the swap and pass. So I draw Telepath. I'm like, alright, let's Kaiku this thing. You ain't got Gores. Which, if they did, wouldn't be the end of the world, but wouldn't be that pretty either. They ended up not having any kind of battle trap. Battle hand trap, I guess. So I hit in. I decided Prohibition, Heavy Storm, set Chains. Now I have a decent setup here. They end up drawing their Dust Tornado, which I'd imagine they sided in. Makes perfect sense against the deck we're playing. They go Burial. I'm like, yep, that's a strong one. Because if they didn't have Burial there, well, they would not be able to Ryza us like they do here. Now, we do have Chain for the Ryza. It's a little awkward, though, right? Because it's like, we're not attacking over this thing. They set the Dust. I'm like, alright, end phase that thing, thinking it's a discard trap, but dusting a Dust is, before it can be chained, is not bad. Better than them dusting Chain or Prohibition. So, end up drawing Call, and I'm kind of thinking, okay, I do want to out this Ryza before they... I know they have Swap. I don't think that's a good play. They just swap back the Ryza. I should have just probably like summoned Shock Trooper, set Call, kept Warrior in play. And there's the one of the miracles. Yeah, I don't think that was correct. They end up MSTing the Call, which is tough. Specialing the swap. Bouncing back Ryza. Summoning back the Ryza, which, is off the Fiendish Chain, top decking Shock Trooper, killing Kaiku, and now I'm sitting here not in a good spot. They basically, in my head, I'm like, man, I'm just going to get 2-0'd very quick. Because like they have the answer to pretty much everything. And it's not, I don't think it's too much to ask for this deck to have the answer to what I have. Just the Monarchs are so powerful. I really do need to side. I did side in 2 Fossil Dinos. I know that for sure. Fossil Dinos are in the deck. The Kaiku is in the deck. What else was... Oh, again, I wasn't siding Zombie World at this time, but Zombie World could be good to put in. Things like Pulling the Rug. I guess, this deck hasn't been super popular in Edison. Well, I guess it depends where you are, but I don't think I've seen it as much online recently. But it doesn't mean it's weak. I got 2nd and 3rd place for a reason, so very powerful deck. And I won one of my locals with it as well, so I should know that it's nothing to laugh at. Like, it's powerful. Just the Caius and Ryza, some of the best Monarchs in the game, and at least in old school retro formats, and definitely no exception to 2010. So now they draw Caius, right, and things are looking really dire at this point. Like, they tribute, they banish the Chain, so I can't bounce it back with Golgar later, because I do have the Warrior engraved, which is a heads-up move, because they're just going to kill the Shock Trooper. They don't care about Prohibition with Heavy Storm, which, it's like, should I have called a Monarch? instead of heavy and just hope they don't have the one heavy as opposed to likely 3 Caius and probably 3, possibly 2, but likely 3 Ryzas. It's like maybe that's not the right call, you know, with the call heavy. Just hope they don't have it. In this case, they didn't. So I don't know, because then they may have MST Prohibition if I like called Ryza or something. Because that was before they had Caius, and then maybe the call would have went off. I don't know, you know, like different situation, or that would have been a different scenario. But here we find ourselves down to 2,900. They have, you know, Dupe Miracle. They could draw a hero monster like a Stratos and just totally blow us out of the water. All we got is a Telepath. And then we draw the ammo. 1 ammo to rule them all, right? They don't got Crow, thankfully. Boom, Golgar, bounce back Prohibition, attack over Caius, put a counter on the Ryza, Prohibition, call Ryza, so they can't, so if they bounce it back with swap, they are not going to immediately be able to, you know, well, I know they, I guess I don't think I knew they had any, I don't think I knew the contents of their hand, but if they have, you know, swap into the water, they can, you know, special out the swap, you know, bring back Treeborn, special out the swap, swap bounce the Ryza, cheaper the Treeborn for Ryza. I'm like, I'm not having that. At least I gotta call, I might as well call something with this that's relevant. And this is staring me straight in the face. If they have another Caius, I lose. If they have Diva, I lose. If they have Miracle and a hero, I lose. There's a lot of variables here. But they draw sub. And, you know, they can't, well, they can soft do block, I guess. Yeah, they could. But let's see what they do. Well, so yes, and see, this is a swap, right? So now if they bounce, they could bounce this back, but I called Ryza a Prohibition, so thankfully I don't currently have to worry about that. I still should have put the counter on Golgar, because if they get rid of Golgar, I'm pretty much likely just straight up dead at that point anyway. Because they bounce back the Ryza. So I lost an A counter on the field, which is unfortunate. But thankfully, I draw another Prohibition. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I know they have Ryza swap in hand. I don't know what the other 2 cards are. I'm pretty sure I don't know these 2. I definitely don't know this. I'm just pretty sure I don't know about the dupe. So now I play the Prohibition, I call Caius, and I'm going to bounce both back and put 2 A counters. Hold on a second. Monster with an A counter battles an alien monster. So I should have summoned Telepath and put 2 counters on Telepath. Yeah, okay, here's what I should have done, by the way. So I was just gonna pop swap, summon Telepath, Prohibition, Gora's Prohibition track. Right? Just hope they don't have Fader, and that's game. But what I could have done, since they're at 33, summon Telepath, bounce both Prohibitions, put the 2 counters on Telepath, because if a monster with an A counter battles an alien monster, hold on, does that work that way? Jeez. If a monster with the A counter battles an alien monster, loses 3 attack, yeah, for each. I'm pretty sure I could put it on my own monster. I don't have to put it on theirs. Doesn't matter. But, I mean, it does in the sense that I'd have 2 extra counters on the field, as long as it works that way. Otherwise, we put the 2 counters on the swap, which means when Telepath attacks Swamp Frog, it loses 600 attack. Bring it down to 400. That's 12 plus 26. That's 3,800 damage without having to pop the swap. So that's 3,800 damage. So the way we win in that way, since we're going to go Telepath over a swap and then Golgar directly for game, we Prohibition Gores and Prohibition Battle Fader. Sorry, geez, I misspoke. We Prohibition Trag and we Prohibition Battle Fader. That way, even if they had Gores and Trag or Battle Fader, they can't Gores because Telepath over swap and then Golgart direct for game. The only things they could do to save them in that situation would be Battle Fader or Trag, because Trag after I attack over the swap with Telepath. So I should have called Trag and Battle Fader, put 2A counters on either the swap or I believe it works on the Telepath, and won the game that way. But they end up just scooping before I even Prohibition Gores or any of that. So makes it easy for me. Definitely slight misplay on my part. Thankfully, they didn't have any of the battle hand traps. But on to game 3, man, we're probably up to like an hour. Awesome. Let's keep it going. Let's keep this breakdown going while we're in the mood, right? So they set a dupe. In their hand also is Caius, Miracle, Evil Guy, Ryza, Murray. That's pretty strong. Because that means in theory they have Ab-Zero alive and could drop a Monarch on top of that. And if this goes, they get swapped to search swap to dump Treeborn. So not the best. This is a pretty decent hand. I don't want them to have this kind of hand. Now I do have 2 Iron Walls, which is shutting down these 2 cards. Of course, not this one. A Kaiku, which can banish Frog, Planet Pollutant, and also like a Iron Wall number 3, on legs. Virus and an Alien, and I draw into Warrior. So, it's not the worst hand. I decided I want this dupe face up because Virus can only pop or only destroy face up monsters without A counters. So I attack it because I want it to go face up. I set the Virus at pass. I figure if they have like MST heavy, then I'd rather not set Iron Wall. But I honestly probably should have set just one of the Iron Walls in this situation, just to get the heavy out. And also, okay, so I let them know if you should be dupe and misses timing, because the last thing that happened is the summon. And then they go swap, dump Treeborn, and decide not to do dupe block, which is fair, because then they would not have got their Treeborn on live if they did it that way. Now I draw a Shock Trooper, I believe, and I still don't set Iron Wall, but I definitely should have. They don't even have heavy. And, man, what the heck is this? I've seen this before, but I don't know why it's on the screen right now. Anyway, it's kind of annoying that that's just there. I guess it's saying, you're taking too long on this replay. It's game 3. Calm down. Recaptcha. So, thankfully, even if we did set the Iron Wall, they didn't go Caius, they went Ryza first. So we don't get punished in that way, which is nice. They target Shock Trooper. I chain the Virus, let's pop. And then they declare dupe. I'm like, misses. They're like, damn, yep. Chainlink 1 is Ryza, Chainlink 2 is Virus. So the last thing to happen is not the destruction of Dupe Frog. Therefore, the when you can misses timing. So, yeah, Dupe's got, multiple ways to miss timing. That's 1 out of 3 on the Virus. I draw 7 tools, and I sided this in. I don't know, right? It stops Dust, it stops Discard Traps, Mirror Force, Dust Shoe, those kind of cards. I figure it's not the worst thing to put in. I can't remember what I took out. I think I took out... Did I take out a Road? I don't think so. Can't remember what I took out to put that in there. I think like a Messenger of Peace maybe or something. Because those kind of cards or swords or those kind of floodgates aren't that good against, triple Caius, triple Ryza decks. So luckily, I got the Kaiku again, so I just slam him down. And we get to banish the Treeborn and one of the dupes, try to start to get him off waters. and ends up, oh, he doesn't have salvage in his hand right now. Ends up being pretty good. I'm pretty sure please set an iron wall. Man, I do not know, guys. I don't know. I think that probably cost me the game right here. Let's think about it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We flip an iron wall right there. And, I mean, we're not perfect, right? Caius is still running us over. But we're not getting our Kaiku removed. We're not taking the 1,000 burn. We're not losing both our monsters. He still has an A counter on said Caius. Oh, man. And you know what? Almost certainly would have attacked over Kaiku. We would have took our 600. We would have had Telepath. Would have been able to summon Warrior to get 2 more counters. Put him at 3 counters. Then he's losing 900 attack and defense, which puts him down to, what, 15? And Telepath runs over the Caius. And then he's got another one. But we have an Iron Wall up. And we cleared one of them. And he can't Miracle. And he currently can't use those Maraes. Man, see, I don't know why I didn't say Iron Wall. We draw Virus, which is good, but it's not. And then we could have Virused with our Warrior, or with our Telepath, that likely still would have been in play, to out the second Caius. Actually, no, he's on next turn is turn 3 out of 3. So if he summons it, he actually gets an A counter, which does not let us Virus it. Man, we still, yeah, now we put down an Iron Wall. And he draws Mermaid Archer. And I don't set Virus or Warrior or anything, just because the Caius does have an A counter. Anything he summons this turn will get an A counter, which means our Virus will not destroy it. So, also, you know, maybe he won't summon into like Torrential. If we just set back row no monster, and he doesn't summon, he just he summons Swap, which would get an A counter, but I'm pretty sure he just bounces it back to hand. Yeah, so then that's right, he's able to dump second Treeborn because we banished the first, and then Murray of Greedy's back to his deck, draw 3 fresh cards, swaps Burial. So there's the Burial. It's like, man, just it's such a powerful deck, but. And we do have Iron Wall, and then we find the Chain, and I'm like, you know what? If he's got heavy, this game's over. There's no reason for me to really set 2 Iron Walls. Don't want to necessarily clog up the back row, so he draws Dust, and he brings back Treeborn. The Virus is over. He attacks into Warrior, and I'm like, yeah, let this happen, because now he's got 3 counters on that Caius. Of course, he's able to just... Oh, I thought he summoned Swap and put that Caius back in his hand. I feel like that still happened. Yeah, look at that. He draws... He could have did that. Oh, then I guess he couldn't have Maraid. Well, anyway, he draws into Caius number 3. Swap and Brain Con, man. I mean, we do have the Iron Wall for the Caius effect. Oh yeah, he just straight up, he doesn't even swap the Caius back to his hand. He just decides, might as well start tributing. I got all 3 of my Caiuses. Now, thankfully, we can Iron Wall, turning off Caius's Banish effect and the Miracle in his hand. He sets Burial instead of Dust. I guess figuring, last game, I end phase Dusted. This time, though, it's 7 tools, which is probably better than Dust in this matchup, because now I can 7 tools trap at a time that's important, as opposed to blind dusting, this Burial, which it would put the monsters back, but he already has a Treeborn in circulation, so, not the best. I do decide to Swords, so that I can preserve my Fiendish Chain and not start, well, I'm basically dead, all right, Caius Swap is 34, so I don't want to have to use the Chain necessarily on basically just vanilla beaters. So I do play the swords. Okay, yeah, so I took out Messenger, but I did keep in swords. I guess swords is maybe the better of the two, since it does stop things like Unifrog, which I don't think he was playing. Kind of a surprise, because I think Unifrog's pretty dang good. He sets the dust after bouncing back the Caius to his hand with a swamp, so he's got 2 Caiuses in hand, Miracle, Dupe, Brain. We do have our Iron Wall up. Let's turn 1 on Swords. Draw the Alien Skull. In theory, can outdo block, but at quite the cost by giving it to our opponent. They have to read this. They're like, okay, so I just want to kill that swamp. You know, I don't want them to keep bouncing back monarchs to their hand. Kind of annoying. They draw another Moray of Greed. They dust the Iron Wall, and then go Caius. And, you know, there was no space for me to set this second Iron Wall in that situation. So they target the swords. I'm like, oh, I'm not chain. And I'm going to hope to draw good old ammo, right? Really need ammo. If I draw ammo right now, actually, ammo would be the best draw. But we draw call. So, you know, not the best, not the absolute worst, but yeah, Alien Ammonite would have been so crazy right there. Instead, we just shift our guy to defense, and you know they're thinking, all right, I popped the Iron Wall. Yeah, the reason I didn't 7 tools that dust, which I guess I could have, was because I figure I don't know what this is. I mean, maybe with as long as it's been set, I can think it's likely not a discard trap. But I got another Iron Wall, so I can just flip that up. Swords is expired. I do draw Offering, which is nice, because I can set that and pass. And then they go Swamp. Dump, I believe, the 3rd sub. Yep. And then they bounce it back. Go Moray. Click, 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 click. Click, click, boom. And then they draw Dupe, Ryza, Diva. I end up forgetting about this card for some reason, even though I had already seen it in a previous game. I think it's because of just, in my head, all I'm thinking, you know, Hero, Frog, Monarch. Right, that's all I'm thinking in my head. Here comes Ryza. They top deck the Iron Wall. They flip the Miracle. I'm like, yep, nothing I could do about that. See, pulling the rug would have been insane there. Instead of 7 tools. Wrong counter trap right now, but I'm not feeling that bad, right? They drop the Ab-Zero, and I'm like, all right, here comes Offering to the Snake Deity. Let's get it. Boom, boom. Pop both those guys. That's a nice trade. So, however, the Iron Wall's on top of our deck, so they can just pop out a second Ab-Zero, just like they did to us, I believe, in Game 1. Another Ab-Zero hits the board. This card is just so much of a pain, right? But we do have the answer in the form of Virus Call. So I set the Iron Wall, set the call, different order, bluff them out. We got our 7 tools to protect from dust or a discard trap. They draw Stratos. They don't summon Stratos to pop back row. I guess maybe they, just hope we don't have like a Mirror Force or something and see if we, you know, at some point flip Iron Wall, and if we don't, if we like chain this or something, they can then Stratos, then summon Stratos, pop the chain that Ab-Zero is on, or pop our Iron Wall or something. But I don't want to go down to 900, because then I'm dead to a swap attack. I'm dead to a Caius Banish itself, which I do have Iron Wall, so I can prevent that. And they've used 2 Miracles. Oh wait, no, all 3 Caius are gone, 2 Rises are gone, 2 Miracles are gone. I'm looking, I'm like, okay, they're actually running low on power, in the sense of like they're big boss monsters. Right, so I'm thinking, okay, I really don't want to go below 1,000. So I call, and then they, you know, get to redeclare, which of course they do, and I Virus. So that deals with all that mess. And again, Ammonite would be insane, bouncing back chain and call and Iron Wall. I think that would have won us. Oh no, they have Brain. I think they would have won us the game if we had, you know, drew Ammonite to go Golgar. Spoiler, we don't draw ammo. They set the dupe and they pass, and we draw Prohibition. So now, man, it's tough, right? Because I'm thinking, I'm looking at their grave. I know I have Iron Wall to stop the third miracle. All three Caiuses are already gone. So I'm like, okay, there's probably a third Ryza. And that's it. I would have called Diva if I remembered Diva. But I honestly forgot. I mean, they still could have went Stratos and smacked us in the face with a 2-turn clock. And I'm pretty sure that when it mattered, let's see, because you'll see what happens. I end up Prohibition, I think, for a while, and I Prohibition called Ryza. Not even heavy, because I figure, I mean, yeah, they haven't stormed yet, but these two aren't doing anything. I mean, if they go, heavy, I mean, I'm basically dead to heavy. If I call heavy, I'm just sitting here with like no protection. So I call protection from something that would actually kill me in the case of Ryza. But really, I should have called Diva. They draw the third miracle. We do have Iron Wall for, and they know that. Then they summon Diva, and I, right here, forgot about that for some reason. I did. Because now, they Diva for Mermaid Archer, and we're not in a good place. But then they sure to make Black Rose, and I'm like, ah. Now drawing Golgar does nothing. All right, they blow up the field, chain their burial, put back Treeborn, Ab-Zero. Oh. I guess they already have 2 Ab-Zeros in there. Oh no, they did put back, yeah, Ab-Zero, Treeborn dupe. Yeah, that seems right. And then they have Miracle, and I just scoop at that point. We would have drew Warrior. So yeah, even if we called Diva, they would have went Stratos, hit for 18, and then we would have drew Warrior, so we could have crashed into Stratos. I don't think I check my next card. Is the next card Ammonite? Oh, I looked at deck. I don't know what the next card would have been. But yeah, they did have Mobius, I believe, in there that they sided in as well. But that's the end of that match. So, yeah, that was, ooh, yeah, of course we're timed out. All right, we're going to make this last one a bit quick here. This probably should be like a 3-part 300 sub special, but we're doing it all in one part. So, last deck. 3 decks, 3 matches. Third deck, Monkey. You already know this is pretty much very similar to what I brought to Ribbit 3 and went 3 and 2 with. I already did a lot of replays on it. You can check that video if you want to see more discussion about the deck and more replays with it. But again, against Cow Bowling, we lose the RPS. They're playing the same deck. They're Frog, Hero, Diva, Monarch, whatever you want to call it. We open Bottomless, Double Solidarity, Crazy Beast, Arabellum, and they got Dupe, Sub, Miracle, Heavy, Stratos, Murray. Excuse me. So they go Sub into Swap. Swap, dump, Treeborn. Bounce back, Treeborn. Don't Murray yet. Pass. Alright, we got Rat. I'm like, well, empty board. Freehand real estate. Let's go. We throw the Arabellum down. We smack him for 16. We roll the dice. We snipe a Stratos, turning on the Miracle Fusion instantly. Still a good hit. One of the better hits. I mean, Miracle probably would have been a better hit. I mean, they top deck into Caius anyway. They got Heavy. There's a complete sack. Bring back the Treeborn. But they don't Heavy. So, I think about saving the Bottomless. I'm like, no. I know they got Swap. I don't want them bouncing this Caius back shenanigans. Banish that monster. And then they go Murray. And they do have a live Miracle here, which I'm pretty sure they do. And, that's tough. Yeah, they draw Swap, Salvage, Ryza. Just such a strong deck, man. Anyway, they Miracle and Ab-Zero. A lot of Ab-Zero in these two matches. Ab-Zero, enough to make you drown, right? Enough to make you sick. We top deck Solemn, strong draw. I'm like, you know what? There are a lot of times where I don't like having Grammel in this deck because of, triple right, go charge. If you mill in, you don't have Bazoo, your solidarities are turned off because it's a rock, right? Not a beast. But in this particular situation, I would much rather mole Ab-Zero than go Cat, which I couldn't even make Brio. I'd have to make like Cataster, and then they have Ryza for it. I guess then I'd Judgment the Ryza. I don't know. I'd rather have it be like this. So I can mold Ab-Zero, so that's not even a problem anymore. I don't set Judgment, I guess because I figure I'd rather have nothing on the field for them to Monarch. And there's Mobius that they side. Oh no, they main deck Mobius. Wow, just main deck. Anyway, I know it's a different match. I think it's even a different day. But they probably were main decking Mobius and had it in when we were playing Aliens. Mobius, disgusting. Strong card, and it's water, so you can discard for Treeborn, do all these things with that as well. Water for Miracle. Kind of an underrated Monarch probably in Edison. But obviously not the best. Caius and Ryza definitely reign supreme. But anyway, they smack us with the Swamp. We take our stack. We're down to 34. So we're not paying a lot for this Judgment, thankfully, I guess, at the best, right? I just decide Crazy Beast over this thing. So I'm like, all right, let's bring him down to 1 Treeborn. It sucks they got access to both already, but we can set the Judgment. I don't see much reason to Solidarity in case they do have the Storm. And they end up going Ryza. And I'm like, sure. And the reason I say sure is because, I guess I can, it's not the end of the world to top deck that, then activate both Solidarities and attack over Ryza. I'm going to get extremely low. A Caius Banish itself kills me. I don't know if this is correct. If I did Judgment the Ryza, then they'd have, the cards in their hand. And we would have drew whatever this card is. I'm pretty sure we get to see what that card is, hopefully. Actually, maybe we don't. Because, yeah, I summon this, I throw down Solidarities, I get in for 600 and banish the Ryza, which is fine. Oh, yeah. We do not get to see what our next card is, I'm pretty sure. Dang, that's unfortunate. Well, it doesn't matter because... Oh, it does matter. Because if we Solemn the Ryza, we would not be at 1,000. We would be at... actually, we'd be at, what, 17? And then they Heavy and Caius. Yeah, and it doesn't matter. We are dead either way to this Caius. That's that. Whether they banish Crazy Beast attack, but more realistically, target itself, and we are dead to the 1,000 bird. So again, yeah, definitely not the easiest matchup for this deck either. I can't remember if I don't think I was signing Pulling the Rugs, but definitely probably should be. Again, I don't know, just, stops Stratos, Diva, and the Monarchs, which is a big part of this Kyle's deck here. Side, you're pulling the rugs, everyone. Anyway, we got a strong hand here, though. I'm like, all right, I sided 2 of these out for these 2. But I figure, and I put 2 King Tigers and 2 Fossil Dynas, because I'm like, I want all the hate for this, degenerate strategy. And I can't remember if I put Soul Release in. I'm pretty sure I did for game 3. And I probably should have for game 2, but I don't think I did. I figure this is likely not going to resolve if I set it later. So I decided to set it now. And then next turn we can go King Tiger. Also I get to Dust Shoot. I see the Stratos. So I see the hand, right? Treeborn, Bottomless, 1-for-1, Diva, Miracle, Stratos. That's a pretty dang strong hand. And I'm thinking, I have bottomless, I have hamster, I have king tiger. I put back the Stratos because that, you know, even if I bottomless it, lets him replace it with like evil guy or Mally. Then he can go, one for one, make a like instantly live miracle pretty much. And I don't want that to happen, right? We want to keep him off miracle if possible. So we put back the Stratos. I figure that's just the best option. He's still able, to go one for one in the sub. He doesn't summon Diva, which is interesting. Instead, just goes swamp, dump, Treeborn, bounce. Oh no, he actually attacks. I guess figuring it's Raikou. So he wants to be able to set the bottomless without Raikou popping, but it's hamster. So the one hamster we kept in, which gets us Raikou. We could have got DD Crazy Beast there. Yeah, actually, I knew everything he had, but I figured I am gonna get the Raikou because if he decides to, set, it's either Miracle or Bottomless, and if I can Raikou the Bottomless, then I can summon the King Tiger safely, which turns off Swap, Diva, and Treeborn. It just shuts down like his entire current lines of play. But he just passes. He knows it's Raikou. Makes sense. I throw down the King Tiger, and I'm like, all right, let's get in 2,800. Right, and then we pass. We have bottomless, no reason to set the Mirror Force, double Bazoo. And you draw a swap, and I'm pretty sure he concedes here. Actually, no, he doesn't concede. He probably should have set a swap and the bottomless. Or something, I don't know. Rather than just pass. I guess maybe trying to bluff, Gore's Trag. But we draw a rat, which if we summon, we'll instantly die. So I thankfully don't make a silly mistake like that again. If you watch the Ribbit 3 replays, we summon Bazoo, and that's exactly 4,400 damage. 28 plus 16 is, I believe, 4,400. So that's the end of that game. On to game 3. So moving right along, King Tiger Wing very strong. Turns off Cyber Dragon's pretty decent to put in, I guess. But yeah, it turns off all these shenanigans. That turns off sub. They can still like set sub or set dupe, but it turns off one for one. Turns off Treeborn, summoning swap, summoning Diva, just so many plays. Of course, it doesn't stop Miracle or Strato Cyber Dragon, but can't win them all, right? One card doesn't do everything. So they Murray, which makes sense. I think they're only probably on one Mermaid Archer, so they figure put it back. And they ended up drawing into the Diva again without the Mermaid Archer. Instead, Salvage and Evil Guy. Thankfully, no Miracle Fusion. So we're not getting super, sacked every time. They do decide to drop Evil Guy because, okay, they didn't summon Diva. I feel like they could have summoned Diva, got out either Mermaid Archer or another Diva, and just one for one the Cyber Dragon. Just have like 4 monsters on the field. I don't know. I guess that's. I can't remember if I'm starting Lightning Vortex. Well, actually, I think I'm. I'm on Needle Ceiling. But they go. So I think they kind of. I don't know about mess up. I guess they have Salvage in hand, but instead of dumping the other subs, they swap dumped the Treeborn when they could have went into Treeborn, then in the swap dumped another sub, then sub into Duplock. But they set up Duplock and they pass, which they got Treeborns online and Ryza. I definitely did put in Soul Release during this game, and the Starlight Road, which I think actually comes up, which is very interesting. Outside of heavy Mirror Force, which I figure they play both of those in their deck still, just to try and hit an Ab-Zero outside of battle, which with things like Raikou, it's possible, and Gramble. Oh no, Gramble would be. I think Gramble would not let me road because it's in attack deck. I don't know. Anyway, I said to, I don't know. I think for a while I'm like, hopefully they have heavy storm, um, and I guess they don't want to run into torrential, so they don't bring back Treeborn. So they just pass. And I top deck Rescue Cat. Absolutely amazing because I have Minecon, right? And I mean, I have Minecon and Book, which both help to outdo block. And I think for a bit, and I decide, you know what? We're gonna go double Arabellum, and we're gonna Minecon. And what that's gonna let us do is bring out Cataster. Could have also brought out Android. Oh, right. They try to search for dupe, but it misses timing because the last thing to happen is the summon. Now they do get. They should have probably kept it because they're gonna. I should have told them I'm just gonna run over the dupe, but I do get to discard here, and I hit the swap they searched, which since they have salvage, I definitely rather would have hit the salvage or the Ryza. It's like, oh no, you make a Taster. What if they have Cyber Dragon? I thought about keeping the Cataster in play, but thankfully I don't. I go into Dark End. I figure, okay, I'll go Dark End just in case they have Miracle, because if they have Miracle, I set the book, because I'm going to lose their Rebellion at the end phase anyway due to Cat's effect. I figure we'll go Dark End if they have Miracle and try to, well, they'd probably bring back Treeborn and then Miracle, so they have a 3k Ab-Zero. If they try to Ab-Zero attack over, if they don't have a Monarch instead of just Ab-Zero, they try to attack over Dark End, I can book the Ab-Zero and then Dark End effect, send the Ab-Zero while it's still face down, meaning the Ab-Zero will not Regeki my field. And also I could have, no, never mind. I guess I couldn't have kept it face up, or else I would have lost the Dark End. I'm like, I could send it face up still, and then, or I guess I could maybe attack into it, send it face up just to road, but that'd be in main phase 2, so it doesn't seem super good. And then they draw Mirror Force. We put in the road, so like I said, that road's gonna come up, thankfully. I mean, between heavy Mirror Force, 3/8 Miracle Fusions, they got cards that this can respond to, technically. Again, the Ab-Zero is a little more tricky, but they go Ryzo. So thankfully it wasn't Kaya's, because we took 1,000 burn. Excuse me, but Darken gets sent back to extra, which is fine. I'm just realizing the face in the middle. It's kind of a silly face. Alright. Anyway, they smack us for 24, and I think for a while about booking it, but I decide, you know what? Bazoo gets over that. I don't see much reason to bottomless. Again, they could do the whole discard a water special swap effect, bounce back Ryza. But I kind of figure they were kind of scared to bring back Treeborn, like in an earlier turn. They could still think I have Torrential. They do salvage. Man, do they bounce back? Well, they get back Diva and they get back Swap. They could bounce back this Ryza. Do they do that? No, okay. They just set Mirror Force. Yeah, so see, I think they're playing around like Torrential. I don't know. So they don't bounce back Ryza. So, thankfully, again, not getting punished for not using these cards. So, I go Bazoo. If I had Return, it'd be very strong. But no return here. Definitely kept returning. It's just a win button. Gotta keep the win button in. Attack over for 100, because Bazoo goes to 25. Turns back on our Solidarity, leaving just Arabellum in. And I keep this Arabellum in. I'm pretty sure I draw a Solidarity if I remember for turn. That's kind of a spoiler, but they go Diva, which I knew they had, and a Mermaid Archer. And, I could, book the Archer and just leave them with, well, then I guess they can go Armory Arm. That doesn't really do anything. I guess it puts me in, I don't know, Not necessarily a more awkward position, but they go Cataster. I'm like, sure. Because I figure I can just book. Because I can just attack over Cataster with Bazoo. So not worried about that. I figure that's probably, 2k defender. Wait. Reverse. They normal deal already, so they cannot do that. Plus, even if they did set it, we drew the Solidarity. So we throw that down, making our Bazoos 2,400 behemoths. They go Mirror Force. Like, yep, instantly flip that road. No questions asked because we have our Bottomless. Now we have Stardust to negate an Ab-Zero, which, spoiler, is at one point going to happen. Thankfully, they don't have another Riser or Caius. They've used only one, I guess, but they can't always draw all the Monarchs, right? They're not necessarily searchable. Anyway, we smack him for 24 and 25, putting him down to 14. He's on the ropes. We have this yellow baboon, which I believe is going to come into play. He draws Gores. So he's been playing Gores this entire time. At least, probably in the main, but technically could be sided, but just hasn't seen it in the last match or this match up to this point. But when you're at, man, yeah, when Gores is the card after you go down to 1400 life, that's tough. Because he would have been able to drop, wow, we would not have had, I guess, the cleanest answer to Gores. That would have been tricky. Ooh, that would have been so bad, wouldn't it? I guess I feel, man, should I have not attacked with Stardust? But see, then if I didn't, then he'd be able to Gores because his life would have been, like, what, 39? Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's like I feel like I had to just go for a game based on my position. That may or may not have been correct, but it ended up working out for me here. So, there's that evil guy. So, like I said, Ab-Zero is touching down like almost every game, right? This card is such a pain in the butt. Definitely insane. And I'm like, well, I got a Bottomless. And they're like, before they even declare, I'm like, Stardust that. Nope. They tribute for Cyber Dragon and attack a Bazoo. All right, because I turned off my Solidarity. So now I'm going to take 900 or 500 here. And I think probably for a little longer than I needed to, but I was like, okay, do I drop this? Because it's going to turn off Solidarity. And we can banish the Stardust with Bazoo, but that won't turn our Solidarity back on because we'll have 0 Beast. But I figure if I don't drop Baboon right now, this, by banishing Stardust, does go up to 27. But then, we can't summon the Yellow Baboon if we don't drop it now. I mean, we could drop it later, but it's like, okay, it's almost certainly game if I drop it now. As long as I don't have, discard trap or something. Yeah, they already used their normal summon. So, here we go again, right? They can discard sub, special swap, and defense. Just to wall up. Oh, yeah, send the third sub from deck to grave, probably. And they can just be able to take both these attacks. Because 34... Oh, wait. 34 minus 21 is 15. Never mind. We kill over... we just Bazoo banish... I don't know. We have no more... We don't have any beast. Oh. But... Wow, maybe they saw it before I did. Yeah, of course. I think he ends up scooping right here because he says that's game. Yeah. But yeah, we banish Stardust, crash Bazoo, take 200. Then Yellow Baboon goes to 34 and attack over Cyber for the... Wait. That's only 1,300, right? Yeah, they'd be at 100. I couldn't game them that way. I was only saying that in case, they pitch sub to special swap and defense to survive another turn. In which case, they would see one more card. which, you know, they wouldn't be able to drop Gores. And, oh no, they would have lost actually. Because even if they pitched special swap and defense pass, my next card was, I believe, King Tiger. Yeah, so I summoned King Tiger. I could banish a Stardust, I guess, with Bazoo, and then go Yellow Baboon over Cyber, King Tiger over Swap, and Bazoo to end the game. So, wow, this was a super long video, wasn't it? That is the end. Oh, we did not time out due to inactivity. Would you look at that? I don't know how to not let us time out here in the last second. So that was another showcase of Monkey. So in the end, we ended up winning with Megarock, losing with Alien, sad face, sad ammo, and winning with Return to Monkey. Again, thank you for 300 subs. I don't usually make a video this long. It's probably the longest video yet. So my commentary is definitely probably I'm like getting tired almost. It's not that late, but I need to get my schedule early for the sake of school. But until next time, love you all. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And this has been Crops, aka Beast Beats, and I am signing off. Bye.